Hey guys, it's Elizabeth finding Elizabeth, and I'm here with Scott Gastric Tiger and Banded Wendy. I usually say we're coming live from Huntington Beach. Where are you, Wendy?
I'm in Bremerton, Washington.
Bremerton, Washington, and somewhere cold wherever Scott lives that I can never remember.
It's Columbia, Missouri.
Okay, Columbia, Missouri. Is it cold today?
If you threw a dart in the middle of the United States, it would pretty much hit us.
Oh, wow.
Awesome. So we're here for the Naked Truth. Glad to see you guys. We didn't have a show last week because we were all in Chicago, but we did a special show on Wednesday with Dr. Katzen. If you missed that, or sorry, Thursday with Dr. Katzen. If you missed that, you can find it on the YouTube channel. So great to see everybody. Scott's my co-host tonight. How's
Hello,
it going?
guys. It's been a week, Liz. It's been a week.
Yeah.
So, but lots of soul searching and figuring out that kind of thing. But it's just living life.
Awesome. And our guest tonight is Banded Wendy, which is not even your Facebook name anymore, right? Did you get found out by the Facebook police?
Yeah, I used to be Proof Weight Loss Surgery Works on Facebook. And about 3 years ago, I lost that name.
Okay. So how's your week been? We usually just like to kind of catch up and see what's been going on with everybody.
Yeah. Week is good. Wednesday will be my 7-year post-op surgiversary.
Wow.
So the week has been mentally kind of a build-up to that. I'm very romantic about my journey. So it's been a good week. It's been a really good week. A lot of reflection. Thank you.
Yeah. Scott, sounds like you reflected a lot this week too.
Yeah. This last Monday was the 1-year anniversary of my father-in-law's passing, and he was like not just a father-in-law, but he was like my dad.
Well, you and Bridget, I mean, you started dating Bridget when you were like 12, right? I mean,
well, yeah, she was 14, I was 16 when we started dating, so we pretty much grew up together. So, he was my second dad through my adolescence.
Right.
So.
It's hard.
Yeah, my week, not so reflective. I've been recovering from Chicago. We had a great time last week. And just getting caught up with work and trying to get my head back in the game on kind of multiple levels. From a work perspective, because this is one thing I've discovered after losing 200 pounds, is life is way more fun than work after you've lost 200 pounds. But
it's true.
At a certain point, you have to get that in balance and in check, so I don't end up living in a van down by the river. So that's been my focus this week, is to come back, because it was I turned 50. If you don't know, Wendy, I turned 50 on March 2nd, and I basically celebrated from March 2nd until last Sunday.
Hey, why not,
so,
right?
It's a big birthday, so just kind of getting things back together. My boyfriend came up from San Diego this weekend, and so I'm a little less prepared than I usually am tonight. But we'll do fine, because we've got some old pros here. So thank you, Wendy, for joining. Everybody's been really excited to have.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you.
Great. Scott, Scott, you want to start out and...
So, do we have any community celebrations this week?
Oh, sorry. Okay, this is how unprepared I am. I do have community celebrations, but I don't have them written on my paper.
Okay.
Okay, so Amy from Australia, Amy Nunez, had a baby, which is awesome. As of whatever day she posted this, which I think was Wednesday or Thursday, the baby still did not have a name. So if the baby has a name, let us know. We want to know that. I've got the Q&A up, and you can also send me your questions and let us know you're watching on my cell phone by text, 714-625-5663. So Amy Nunez had a baby, and I also have reached out to her this week about being on The Naked Truth, because she's one of the few people that I know who had a baby post WLS that I've followed. So she's going to join us in May. Aubrey in Wonderland, who is a newbie, but you guys should check her out. I'll put her link below. She's really great. She's having her surgery on Tuesday. RNY. Oh, wait.
It's Carrie.
Who's Carrie?
A friend of mine.
Maybe I posted. Did you post the link? Wendy, you may have posted the link that I gave you, which is not for people to watch. So can you delete that really quickly from your page, Wendy? Because that'll put everybody live on our show.
Oh, yes, let's do that.
So Carrie, if you could log out. and click on the link that's on the Naked Truth page. That would be great, because otherwise you're going to be part of our
I can get
This is the first time I'm using this, so I don't even know.
Yeah, so
how do I do that?
Yeah, so if you could just log out, that would be great. So make sure, Wendy, it's not the link that I gave you.
No.
Okay, so.
Well, the link for Carrie, but not for everybody else.
Hang on.
Yeah, okay, great. So there's two different links. There's a link for the people who are going to actually be on the broadcast, and then there's another one which I posted on my page.
Right, I got the other one.
Okay, so obviously it is Wendy's 7-year surgiversary this week, which is incredible. So happy surgiversary, Wendy. It's also Jennifer Mahoney's 4-year surgiversary, which is great. We love Jennifer, and she's at her lowest weight ever, 4 years post-op, which is incredible.
It is.
S.J. Hamilton, whose YouTube name I can't remember, but she is usually coming to us from Saudi Arabia. She's back in the U.S. in California this week. Lizette Morales is having her brachioplasty on March 21st, so keep her in your thoughts and prayers. Jess Wojcicki, who I met in Chicago last week, who I absolutely love, and she only came on Saturday, so I didn't get to spend a whole lot of time with her. Apparently, she had gallbladder surgery last week, and I didn't even know because I was not following Facebook that well, but sounds like she's doing well, and she is just a delight. Losing Lily had RNY surgery 3 years ago so that she could start a family, and her baby turned 1 this week, which is awesome. And Carmen Wolfenden had her sleeve surgery on March 13, and she is feeling awesome. And also, Gooch Monster, Chris Ragucci, had hernia surgery. He didn't post this, but I did see that on Facebook, and I think that was a little tough surgery. So we want to send him and Sarah our thoughts as well and hope he's recovering. So those are my community celebrations. If I missed something, post it in the Q&A. Post it or send me a text and I'll do it. Oh, we have one comment on our Q&A from Sleeve Rocker. It says, "It is her, Banded Wendy."
It is I.
It is I. I did that like right after I came back from OH the first time. It's like, "It is I, Sleeved Elizabeth."
It happens. You just
give us your line for people who may not know.
That is it. It is I. Hello, YouTube. It is I, Banded Wendy.
Awesome. So let's get started. And if you have questions or comments, you know how to let us know.
Okay. So, Wendy, just kind of give us a little background on your surgery, your history, your weight prior, and when you had surgery. Just kind of give us a background.
Sure. March 23rd, 2009 was the day I had my lap band surgery. And my highest weight that I ever saw was 269 pounds. At the time of surgery was 244.5, 243.4, somewhere around in there. And I had lost 100 pounds 3 times in my life. And I was fortunate. I had met a guy, and the first time we met for drinks, he pulled out his ID. And you know how your driver's license picture goes in that little square? Well, his head filled up the entire square. And I looked at him, I'm like, "That's not you." And that same guy became my husband. And he was, at the time, 4 years post-op gastric bypass and had lost 300 pounds. And so from him, I learned that weight loss surgery wasn't just for the rich and famous or the Hollywood elite, that for the average Joe, you could have weight loss surgery. So during that first year and a half that we dated, I ate everything, everywhere, and he ate very little. And
you ate all his leftover food.
I ate it all. You know? Like, we'd go out to eat, and he would still be eating his food 3 days later, and I had finished it all at the restaurant. I couldn't figure that out. So he gave me this eye-opening realization, and I gained about 40 or 50 pounds in that year and a half. And I just decided that maybe weight loss surgery was for me. I lived in Los Angeles at the time. Billboards, radio, TV. I had at least 50 pounds to lose. Why would I? And I'm somewhat intelligent. Gee, maybe I should look at weight loss surgery. So I put it all together and found a doctor in Los Angeles. And at the time, those were the only 2 surgeries talked about: lap band and gastric bypass. And my experience was I didn't need to lose 300 pounds. So I probably didn't need gastric bypass. So I went with the lap band, and I ended up being a cash pay patient as well. I paid $15,000 where it would have been $45,000 for gastric bypass. So that's kind of how I got to the start, was him and the losing and losing and gaining and needing. I was at rock bottom. I needed help.
Were you overweight as a child?
I'm 5'10", so I was always the big girl. I was always tall. My first diet was when I was 13. So I was just always more developed and bigger than everybody else. But certainly by the time I was 12, 13, I was bigger than everybody else.
And did you grow up in LA?
No, I'm from Ohio. Yeah,
okay.
Small one-stop
growing up in
town.
LA fat is not fun, trust me.
I'm sure. My husband grew up in Orange County. So it's kind of the same. Yeah.
Great. So you touched on it a little bit, but let's talk about the lap band, because I think you are one of the people that I've ever seen who's been really successful with the lap band.
Yeah, I'm fortunate to know a lot of people successful with the lap band. It is a unique tool. It's a piece of plastic that goes around your stomach, and it has a tube and a port, and they add saline or take saline away. They call it an adjustment or a fill, with a needle into the port that goes through the tubing up to the band, and it cinches around your stomach, right? So basically you don't lose anything. It's done laparoscopically, and over time you get adjustments, fills and unfills if you want to call them, and it's really about the rules. So initially you don't have much of a fill or none in your band, so it's all about the rules and learning how to change your lifestyle, and opposed to a lot of the other surgeries. Initially the rapid weight loss comes from the diet, right? Your surgery is working for you, but the lap band's opposite of that. The lap is something kind of you grow into.
Well, explain how that works a little bit, because I don't even think there are a lot of people now who even make videos who have lap bands. So just like that process, because don't you have the surgery and then you wait a while before you get your first fill. Can you just talk about that a little bit?
Sure. And each interesting thing is that each surgeon is different, right? They all have their own protocol. Some surgeons start out with 3 cc's in a band, which is the fluid, the saline that makes the band snugger around your stomach. So basically take your stomach, put a band around it, and now you have a top stoma or a pouch, and then you have your regular stomach. And the band goes around it so that you have this straw. Imagine the width of a straw. That's where your food goes through. And the band pushes on your vagus nerve, so that vagus nerve is what stimulates hunger and satiety, right? So food going through that. So for me, it was like week 9 was the first time I got a fill or an adjustment. And then week 15, and then it kind of progressed from that. So I have a 10 cc band, and I've had as high as 6.75 cc's in my band, but I currently have 4.2 cc's in my band. And so there's an evolution process in the learning, right? Like someone once described it as a 2x4 or a rubber band. So at 6.75 in my band, it was a 2x4. As to
your head.
Certain foods are not going to go through that hole, right?
Yeah.
The higher up you go, the tighter, that smaller that hole is. At 4.2, I can actually eat some foods I didn't eat 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So, like what?
Red onion, cucumber.
Really?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it seems like from the people who I've heard from who have lap bands that's an issue more of than it is with some of the other surgeries. It's like getting stuck or like
foaming, sliding, getting stuck. Yeah.
Now, when you said it was 9 weeks until you had a fill.
Yeah.
The first time, but you're dealing with swelling and everything too. So there is some restriction.
There is.
Or no?
Exactly. Okay. Yeah. So you have that surgical swelling, right? That inflammation. So you're on the liquid diet and the puree diet and the soft food diet, just like other surgeries, but you don't go for as long. And then, naturally there's some restriction there, because as you lose weight, your band gets a little bit looser, right? Because there's not much stomach there. Your stomach shrinks too. So, 3 weeks, probably that inflammation is pretty much gone. But there's that, you're totally just getting used to the whole process, learning how to eat again, learning how to incorporate the fitness in the water, just like all the other surgeries. But if you're not doing that early on in the lap band, you can easily want to rely on that restriction. And unfortunately, I personally think a lot of the reasons you don't know very many lap banders that are successful is their aftercare with their surgeon isn't very good, and that, as you mentioned, restriction. They just think fill, and so they get to the point where I'm like, they can't eat anything.
Right.
And they start relying on the frappuccinos and the milkshakes and the ice cream, and that's not how the band's intended to work. But I've been lucky. I have a great surgeon.
I don't think it's just luck. I mean, you work your ass off, and I think we'll talk about some of that. I don't think it has to do with luck. I think it has to do with
luck of a good surgeon.
Okay. No, I'm sure, and that's how I feel too. I mean, I feel like even though the pre-op, I was a Kaiser patient, and the pre-op program is pretty long and intense.
Yeah,
and they
6
tell
months,
you,
right?
I think it was like 4 months when I did it, and now it's like less than that. But it's these classes that really have nothing to do with weight loss surgery until like the last couple of weeks. They're teaching you like a regular normal diet that you're not able to eat after you have weight loss surgery anyway. But they tell you, they lie, but they tell you have to lose 10% of your body weight to get approved for surgery. And I'm like totally stressing it. I was 400 pounds when I started. I had lost 38 pounds. That last day of class, I was like, they're not going to approve my surgery. Well, of course they did. But that process of changing the things that I needed to change in that long period leading up to weight loss surgery, I think was huge in me having lost 200 pounds. If I would have gone from eating the way I was eating before and having surgery the next day, there's no way I would have been successful, I don't think, because I think it would have been I would have still been dealing with those addictions to carb and sugar and everything else.
Yeah, being a cash pay, I had a 2-week wait. I had no educational courses, but I certainly, as you've mentioned, we talked about it recently, the mental game, it's the biggest piece, and it's rarely talked about.
Right, absolutely.
Even
so if you, and they give you a psychological screening, but that's really just, I don't even know what the point of that is, because it's not, at least in my case, it wasn't that in depth. And I think it's more about what happens afterwards than what happens before. So if you were to have surgery today, would you have lap band or you would have the sleeve?
Oh, well, no. Honestly, if I were picking a surgery today, I would probably pick gastric bypass. Because my husband is 13 years post-op gastric bypass, and my mother-in-law is 11 years post-op gastric bypass. And Asia, Grelin Begon, was a very good friend of mine, and she showed me that not everybody dumps the way that my husband dumps his beans, the wrong foods. I was scared to death of dumping. I'm very familiar with the sleeve as well, but yeah, I think if I could not pick the lap band for whatever reason, I would pick gastric bypass. Although if it was a cash situation.
But are you saying that if you had surgery today that you would still go to lap band first?
Yeah.
Really? Interesting.
Only because I know what I know.
Okay, but if you were going into it without knowing,
if I was
as like a new patient going in, I mean, I don't even know that many places offer. I mean, like Kaiser won't do lap bands.
Right,
anymore.
They don't do them anymore. But there's still plenty being done. I think because I knew the gastric bypass, the gastric bypass, that's what I would pick. But I have to tell you, if it was a cash pay situation, no, I've thought this out. 7 years ago, what would I have done? And if it was cash paid like it was then, here today, I would have to get the lap band, unless I chose to go out of the country, because I couldn't afford to pay cash in the United States for any of the other surgeries. So that has a big piece of it. How are you paying for it? Yeah. But I think that all weight loss surgeries serve a purpose. I think each person has a need for one. Whatever it is. I don't think you really know which one you need, honestly, until after you've had it.
Yeah, I went in wanting gastric bypass because I wanted to dump, but yet hardly anybody I know who had gastric bypass actually dumps. But my surgeon was like, you don't have any comorbidities.
You were lucky.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm an older, I was 48 when I had surgery. I didn't have any comorbidities. He said, get the sleeve. It's a less complicated procedure. And then if a couple and this is so funny because at Kaiser they're like, you get one chance at this, and the surgeon's like, and a couple years later, it's not working for you, or you regain, we'll do the gastric bypass. I'm like, oh,
right.
Okay.
Now that's an interesting point, Liz. My surgeon is a lap band patient, but he's also an oncologist, and we've talked about it. And he's like, you treat the disease with the least invasive procedure first.
Right.
And so the lap band was the least invasive procedure to treat obesity. And from there, you do have the opportunity. A lot of people kind of get down in a dark space when they get to the point that they may need to revise to another surgery. But the great thing is you can, right? So if you need to, you can revise to the sleeve. You can, even sleeves goes to R and Y. R and Y can have band
for people who have a tremendous amount of weight to lose, because R and Y, there's not a whole lot. I mean, there are some things, but there's not a whole lot of revision options after R and Y.
Band over bypass. They do some revisions of the stoma. I mean, there's some.
But it's much more complicated.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm
we're going to ask you, and I always talk all the time and don't let Scott talk, but I'm going to let you talk in a minute. But later we're going to ask you in general about, kind of tips for people who are newbies or in maintenance. But for other lap banders, what would be a tip for lap banders that might be different from some of those other things?
Too tight's not right. It's not. And if
it's too tight, does that just mean you basically are throwing up? Or what is that?
You're throwing up, you're not drinking your water, you're not getting any firm protein in, you're relying on liquids, and you're gaining weight.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Great. Well, thanks for filling us in on the lap band stuff, because I think we had Nirvana on, and I think her first surgery was a lap band, and now she's band over bypass. But we haven't really had. You're the first person that we've had on that has really been, a lap bander through and through, and I mean, had such tremendous success. Because I've seen Wendy in person, and I mean, she looks incredible.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And we'll give a little shout out to Dr. Katzen later about part of that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Wendy, how'd you get involved with YouTube, and how has that affected your journey?
Oh gosh, such a great story. Good question. So I can remember going to the Hollywood Bowl to see a concert, and we'd come home. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, and my boyfriend at the time is in the living room. I come out of the bathroom, and the concert that we were at is on YouTube. I'm like, we just got home. How is it playing on the laptop? He's like, this is YouTube. I'm like, oh, okay. So anyway, I decided, I thought this lap band is something I need to do. Typed in lap band into Google, and Lap Band LA popped up, lapbandla.com. That's how I found my surgeon. And then I did a further search, and The Band in Me came up on YouTube. And I watched this girl's videos for hours on end, all of them, and I was just like absorbed in the fact that I could have that. So basically 7 years ago on the 17th, I made my first YouTube video, and it was the start of my pre-op diet. And I had been a Weight Watchers person who lost 10% of their weight multiple times. So I knew the weekly accountability was important. And so that was going to be my check-in. I didn't have a support group to go to. So I just started making weekly videos. I made 191 weeks in a row without fail. I have over 800 videos, and the YouTube family is my family. I could not imagine the class of 2009, that's who we are. I could not imagine my life, my journey without them. It's changed my life, honestly.
So how many people were doing, I mean, relatively, what was the community like in 2009? That's a long time ago.
Yeah, I miss them. Yeah,
because I'm sure none of them other than you are making videos now, right?
There's a handful. They come and go. It's nice to see updates from them, but easily there were, 50, 100 people making YouTube videos. That in February 2010 we all got together in Las Vegas, and there was easily 30 or 40 of us.
Now, was that the first WLSFA meet and greet, or that was a different kind of thing?
That was Sarah Will Be Skinny and Andrea, and I can't remember her YouTube name, got everybody together, and that is where Antonia got inspired on her
to start it. Yeah.
The WLSFA, yeah.
I didn't realize Sarah Will Be Skinny was that long ago. How's she doing? Did she just have a baby?
No, but she did make
somebody else.
Yeah, she did make an update video recently for her 7 years.
Okay, she was great.
Yeah. So it's just like everybody else. I see the other classes, you know, come up and come out, and the same relationships that they have or you have with each other. Yeah. It was the same thing.
Yeah, it's really
friends for life.
Really incredible. And I had probably never watched a YouTube video other than like something my son would show me occasionally that he thought was funny until I met Patty and she was making video, and I was like, oh, that's interesting.
And now,
but I would have never thought that I would be doing all this stuff and that these people would be so much a part of my life. I'm doing like a 1,000 subscriber giveaway.
Nice.
And my boyfriend was here, and he's like not that interested. It's so funny because it's like the first relationship where like my weight has like nothing to do with it, and he like really does. I mean, he knows I do it, but he's not really that interested. He's like 1,000 subscribers? Are you fucking kidding me? I'm like, oh yeah, people have way more subscribers than that. It's like I had no idea. It's a big deal. I mean, it's a big deal, and it's a great accountability.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So Go ahead. Sorry. Yeah, you don't. When I was first starting watching videos, you were making videos a little more regularly than you do now.
Yeah, 191 weeks in a row. I don't know how many years that is, but it's a lot.
It is a lot.
And I'm certainly over 8,000 subscribers, which to me I remember when 3,000 seemed like. I remember making the first video thinking, I don't know if anybody will watch this.
Right.
And so what I will say is that I make the videos. 90% of my videos, and for sure those first 191 for me.
Yeah, me too.
They're for me, and I love to hear myself and think out loud, and it's such an interesting thing to get outside your head on this journey.
Yeah, absolutely.
So important.
Yeah, and the accountability is huge, just like you said. With like, it's kind of like a Weight Watchers check-in, only with more people, and that's really important to me because even now I still think about that. It's like, okay, this is what I weigh today. I'm going to make a video on Monday. What am I going to do about it?
Well, and my surgery date was on a Monday, and so I've always made my weekly update. That was my thing, was Monday. Yeah, and I can tell you for sure that impacted my weekend fat girl.
For sure. And
because
absolutely.
I had to learn how to navigate the weekend, which is something in all my other weight loss journeys before surgery, I failed at epically. Like, epic fail. So it was a good thing.
So we just got a question from Jennifer Bleacher, who is so excited to see you on tonight. She wants to know what motivates you to stay active in the community at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the number one, accountability. I am not gonna. I know. Mark my words. Hold me accountable, YouTube. I'm not gonna show back up on YouTube with a 100-pound regain, which is what I did with all my other weight loss in my life. And so one, still constant accountability, regular accountability, maybe not constant. And two, I've originally, because I watched that girl, the Abandon Me's videos front to back, you know, I thought, I want to give back like those that came before me. Because what if I would have never found her videos? Right. So I'm still in the belief that by giving back, just like each of you are doing here, to the community is critical.
I think what's so important about your videos, Wendy, is this far out, number one, you haven't experienced a lot of regain, and you're I'm sure there are days you aren't spot on, but in general, you have a lifestyle of fitness and good eating and stuff like that. And I think that's because it really is a lifestyle change. Yeah. And I think your videos are really important, at least for me, in showing that and the consistency with that over time.
Thank you. Yeah. It helps for me, and I'm always honored when I get a lot of feedback. Yeah. And the feedback is always like, it's exactly what I needed to hear. Yeah. Thank you so much. And, you know, every once in a while, I made a video last week, and it was like, I had a runner's high, you know, but it was catharsis is what my friend Carrie termed it, and she was exactly right. She's so smart. I needed that release. I needed to it was a very emotional video for me. Again, that reflection that we were talking about, Scott. And that's the other thing about videos is that I get to just really just be me, and I can be soft, and I can be hard, and I can be motivational, and I can be authentic. And somebody out there is going to pat me on the shoulder or give me a hug, you know?
That just gave me chills and made me a little teary, because I don't know that if I ever realized that, but I think in these videos was the first place where I really was authentic. Yeah, that's really important.
Yep.
So tell us about how your relationships changed before losing weight, after losing weight. I mean, your husband was were you married before you had surgery? You were dating?
No, dating,
okay.
Yeah.
So your relationships, your romantic relationships, your friendships, your work relationships, how did that change for you after your weight loss?
Sure. So I lived in Los Angeles, and my girlfriends, we went to Tasty Taco Tuesday every week for 8 years in a row. We all lived in Los Feliz, and we all went to the same place, and I was having weight loss surgery, one was having her first child, and another was moving back to the Midwest after 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I moved to Orange County because my husband lived there, my boyfriend at the time, and I moved in with him. That's how I could afford my lap band surgery payments. And everything changed. Those closest friends, not only was I going through a huge change, their lives were all at the same time changing. So there was no more going out to take a Tasty Taco Tuesday. There was no more parties on Friday night, with the girls. And so everything in my friendships changed from what I did on a regular basis with them. We're still great friends, but I have more interest in hanging out with my weight loss surgery friends, to be honest. Yeah. And then my work relationship changed. I had worked there several years, 4 years before I had weight loss surgery. But I realized I needed to put myself as a priority. I used to work till, globally, and I worked all night long when I got home from work. Well, that stopped because I was watching YouTube videos, making YouTube videos, and doing my fitness. And I also used to work from 10 to 6 because wasn't that the perfect? You could party all night and get up and be at work at 10 and leave at 6 and start all over again. I started working from 7 to 3 because I needed to get up, I needed to get work done, and I needed to get to the gym.
Yeah.
So that all changed. My relationship with my husband, the best part to answer that question is I got engaged on July 6th of 2010, and I met my goal weight July 15th of 2010, and we got married 90 days later on 10/10/10.
Aww.
Yeah. So I still wear my wedding dress on October 10th. My dress needs to fit.
Yeah.
Do you wear on your surgery? Do you wear what you wore into surgery?
No, I still have that. And people make fun of the Yellow Kitchen. If you've ever watched the old Yellow Kitchen videos.
Oh, I don't think I have. We had a comment from, I think it's Fresh Orangina, and I haven't watched the video you did last week, but I will. But she said, I just showed a friend a non-WLSer your video this morning. I'm so glad you had the insight to make and post it.
She's the one who said catharsis. She's right. Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome.
We love her.
All right. So being this far out, it really comes to the point where you really realize that the hardest part of this thing is maintenance. So how exactly do you manage maintenance as far out as you are?
It's became a lifestyle. The first, I stand on the scale every Monday. I have my notebook. Tomorrow will be week 365. And I still write it down in a notebook, my weight every Monday. I stand on the scale just about daily. It's a science project to me. I know that sodium, water, fitness, booze, carbs is going to change that scale. I'm not emotional about the scale. It's one time a week that matters and that I write it down. Yeah. I have pocket peeps that have been my friends since 2009, and they get a picture of my scale every Monday. And I also use Mondays, just like I did when I made videos, a self-reflection period. What did I do good this week? What did I not do good? Maintenance is about, the big picture is like today. I've been grocery hauling, meal prepping, food planning, measuring and weighing, portioning out, and knowing what I'm going to eat. I know what my fitness schedule. I have a schedule. I have a schedule for food. I have a schedule for fitness. And yes, that is my lifestyle, but it doesn't happen unless I make it happen. And maintenance is the same thing. I mean, the longest I ever maintained a weight loss was 6 months. So this year, I guess, will be 6 years that in July, 5.5, 6 years that I've maintained my weight. And each day is a new day, and it's a new opportunity, and every choice adds up. And yes, you're not. What I have learned is you're not going to be 145.6 every day, or every Monday. But you have a range. You need to have a lifetime maintenance range. A few pounds below, a few pounds above, and you bounce in that. And if you get to the top end of that range, ding, 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 halt. What's up? What changed? Why? Yeah.
Yeah, I think, I mean, you described okay, so that was Wendy's question. She's our first guest who gave herself questions, but it made it very easy for me because I have like, oh, awesome, these are good questions.
I didn't even realize that was my question, but it's a good one.
It was. And I never heard anybody really describe the scale with kind of the same way I feel about it. It's like every day I'm not emotionally attached to it, but it's a science project. I have my weight recorded every day, and that way I can see, it gives me an idea of what's causing the fluctuations sometimes, and it just keeps me in touch so that I don't one day, 2 weeks later, step on the scale and I'm up like 10 pounds.
Okay, and so let me ask you this then. In your old life, I stepped away from the scale for weeks. For
years.
Months, years, exactly.
Totally.
And every time I went back to it, I didn't like what I saw.
No, exactly. And that's what a lot of people say. You shouldn't weigh every day, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you know what? I think that's an individual choice.
It is.
For me, weighing every day is crucial to my success because if I'm not weighing, that means I'm in denial, and I don't want to see what's going on.
Yeah, it's like we all have our own history, right? You've got to base it, and you've got to. This is the opportunity, at least in my mind, to do things differently. And so what I used to do didn't work for me. Right. So this has been a new, fresh slate, and I found what works, and that's the keys. Find what works and stick with it.
Yeah, and it's just, I mean, to me, and this isn't true for everybody, but I mean, that knowledge is power. And so if I know what's going on, then I can have the choice to do something about it.
Yeah.
Have you ever woke up and seen a 6-pound gain overnight?
Hell yeah. But I also don't get emotionally attached to that because I know if that's because of something I did or because it's that time of the month or because I ate a lot of salt yesterday or whatever. I mean, it's not like, it's not going to ruin my whole week because I step on the scale because I know what I did the day before. But if it's 3 weeks later and it's a 10-pound gain, I can't say, oh, well, yesterday I did this and that's why this is showing up.
Yeah. And what I've found, the scale will fluctuate 1 to 3 pounds per day, give or take, for whatever reason.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
Exactly.
That's where
and I mean, when I have, because I've moved and traveled and stuff, my workout schedule has not been as consistent as it usually is. And I, in some instances, have lost more weight when I'm not working out. So I know when I work out, I'm going to have a little swelling the next day or whatever. I mean, I just look at that as information, not as something to be emotionally attached to, just something that I can respond to.
Right.
You need to make T-shirts.
That say what?
I don't know, something to that effect. Don't be emotionally attached to the scale, or it's a science project. It's a science project. I don't know.
Yeah, information. It's not, shouldn't change your how you look at your whole day. Right. So this is another one of your questions, and I'm sure maybe you do, but it's hard for me to imagine having seen you in person, but do you ever feel fat? Do you have fat girl days?
I do. Not a lot of them, but certainly after reconstructive surgery, anything that you can eat, believe it, even chocolate, but something with salt in it, high sodium, and chocolate must have a lot of salt in it, gourmet chocolate. But you can eat something and you just automatically kind of swell up post-reconstructive surgery, and so yeah, I feel that, or period bloat. I mean, that bloat makes you feel, and sometimes you catch a glimpse in the mirror and you're like, maybe it's the sweater, So yeah, I have fat days. I also notice the skinny day the day after, like, oh, I can actually feel I'm a little thinner today, Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But people think, the reason I think that's a great question, Liz, is I think that people think that they'll have weight loss surgery, and even if they lose a bunch of weight, that they won't feel fat anymore. And I know fat is a word, kind of interesting in our community these days, but you might still feel fat.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. I mean, I'm still, almost 200 pounds, so I'm not skinny by any means, but
you're not 400 pounds either, right?
But I'm not 400 pounds, and I'm in a size 10, so I'm good with that. But I have to say, since my workout schedule has gotten inconsistent, this last week there were a couple times I looked, and I did not like seeing my belly pooching out. But also, it's information. I'm pretty sure that's because I haven't been working out the way that I usually
you feel
do.
flabby.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If you don't use it, you lose it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Wendy, I learned so much from you watching your videos starting out about how to eat and how to actually handle your diet after weight loss surgery. So can you talk to us a little bit about how you maintain your weight through food and a little bit about the 10-to-1 ratio?
The magic numbers.
Yep.
You bet. Thank you for watching and those kind words.
Yeah.
So, I had this paper, my surgeon said you need to eat 800 to 1050 calories to lose and at least 60 grams of protein.
Mm-hmm.
And pick protein first. So here I am, picking up stuff that said 190 calories for protein. Hey, that's protein first. So it took me a minute. I didn't know. Nobody ever told me 10-to-1. I figured it out on my own, that I couldn't get 800 calories and 60 proteins effectively that way. It wasn't working, and I was hungry, and I wasn't losing weight. So I came up with a strict rule for myself, which is the 10-to-1. So for every 10 calories, there needs to be 1 protein. And there were no exceptions to that for over 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So if it had 300 calories, it needed to at least have 30 proteins. If it had 250 calories, it needed to be at least 25 proteins.
Mm-hmm.
And what I found there was I was able to hit the 800 calorie mark. I was able to hit the 60 grams of protein mark. I was losing weight. I was satisfied, and my portions were in line as what they needed to have.
Right.
So it was like magic. Eventually, I got to the point where I realized, well, that's pretty limiting on my produce.
Uh-huh.
Right.
It was really heavy protein. So for the last 3.5 years, I've been working to incorporate more complex carbohydrates through produce, mostly vegetables, no fruit really. Just a little bit of fruit, blueberries in the morning, 1/4 cup, but to add a little bit more nutrition in there. Mm-hmm. But that 10-to-1 rule, whenever I ask somebody, I get questioned a lot about people, they're doing everything right. Okay, well tell me what doing everything right means. And you see what they're eating, and it's like, okay, we have 1,200 calories and 48 proteins. Let's start there. Right. Let's try to bring those closer together. Guaranteed. You bring it 10-to-1, bam, that scale's going to go down no matter what.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's the magic number.
What's a day of eating like for you?
I think I'm going to do a video on that this week.
Okay.
But the answer is. I have a tea misto. I call it a ghetto tea misto. If I get milk from Trader Joe's, it's 80 and 8 calories, 80 calories, 8 proteins. It's tea, water, milk, and a cup every morning. And then I work out and I have my Body Effects, which is not a protein drink. It's just an energy supplement. And then I have a protein shake. I call it my poop shake. I regularly poop every day now, and that's something I didn't do for a very long time. And I'm okay with poop. I don't mind talking about poop. But it's a Isopure, it's a protein shake.
I was going to say, can you send me the, you tell me what's in that?
I got a video on that one.
Okay.
It works. It works. But it's 241 calories and 31.4 proteins, and it's blueberries and protein powder and PP2 and almond milk and some ground flax and spinach. It's great. I typically, my firm protein at lunch is when I start eating firm protein. And I just made a fantastic chicken salad. I'm calling it Wicked Good Chicken Salad for the week. And it's rotisserie chicken and onions and red peppers and carrots and all kinds of good stuff. 198 calories and 25.3 proteins, portioned out in my half cups. Then in the afternoon, I'll have another tea misto from Starbucks, 119 calories, 10.9 proteins. And then my dinner is where I get a little bit more varied. But But typically, in general, I eat every 3 to 4 hours. I drink 33.8 in between each meal, so I don't have my breakfast shake until one of these is gone. I don't have lunch until the second one is gone, and I don't eat dinner until the third one is gone. So I drink over 100 ounces of water daily. Most of my meals range between 200 to 300 calories and 20 to 30 proteins. And I eat 3 meals per day, and typically, my tea in the morning, my tea in the afternoon, and a pre-bedtime snack. And so I eat 5 to 7 small meals per day. And I track all my foods. So, I can eat between 1,200 and 1,700 calories and maintain weight. And I easily get usually between 100 and 145 grams of protein in a day. So I'm, if I want to lose weight, 80 calories, 80 proteins. 800 to 1,000 calories and 80 to 100 grams of protein. So I've got it dialed in. I know the difference between, put it this way, weight loss versus weight maintenance is about 200 to 400 calories depending on the day. That's it.
So we had a comment from Al, VSG11B. He says he just stumbled across your 10 to 1 video the other day and realized he was doing it subconsciously. He's still early out, but it made him think and really read labels more often. I actually probably heard Lauren Dayton talk about that first and started looking at that as well. I mean, I think that's really kind of a great rule of thumb. As usual, we always have like way more questions than we have time for people because we like to keep this for an hour. So Scott, you're used to this with me. I'm going to skip around a little bit.
That's fine. Go for it.
But can you talk a little bit about your fitness routine, like when you first started and how it's progressed to what it is now?
Yeah, it's great too because it was a YouTuber, Christine Swisher. I can't remember what her YouTube channel was, but it was about week 15 post-op, and I was doing a lot of things right, but I still was just kind of walking the dog for fitness. I hadn't really got into it. And her video was just literally like from here to here is all I could see of her. And she was talking about this program called the Couch to 5K. And basically it told you what to do in your ear, and it was a podcast at the time that you downloaded. And it was 3 days a week. And I was like, that's it. I'm going to start that. Downloaded it, printed out the 9 weeks it used to be. Now they have it in 8 weeks, but it was a 9 week, 3 times a week program that would take you from being a couch potato, which I was, to being able to run a 5K. I started there July of 2009 and have never stopped with running. Ran my first 5K in October of 2009, and I still hadn't got that runner's high when I did that 5K. But sometime before Christmas of 2009, I got that runner's high, and I was like, this is better than any drug I've ever done. Like, wow, I did that.
I guess I have to get past week 3 to get that feeling.
Yeah. July to December, let's say, 6 months of running before I got there. And so then I realized, and it was a contributing factor to my weight loss. It was a rule my surgeon gave me, 30 minutes of fitness every day, 7 days a week. And that's how I was like, well, I can play on YouTube for that much time in a day. I can watch TV for that much time in the day. I spend that much time talking on the phone. I can at least do this fitness program. And it just built from there, honestly. I ran a 5K pretty much every day for a year and a half. My girlfriend did a half marathon. I watched her finish the half marathon, and she said, hey, why don't you do one of these with me? Okay, why not? So I did a half marathon, and I've done over 14 half marathons. And then I was like, well, I want to try a triathlon. Why not? Hadn't ridden a bike or swam in over 20 years, but I did it. So I did my couple of triathlons. I was actually awarded, it's an honor for me. My fitness was such an important part of me, and I think inspiring so many in the community, that I won the very first bariatric athlete award at the WSFA in 2012. And
Jennifer Mahoney, who we just recognized for her 4-year surgery, she won last year.
Yeah, there's been so many great ones. And then my girlfriend said, hey, you want to do a marathon? I said, sure, let me think about it. And I got home from running with her at the Rose Bowl, and I sent her a message and said, sure, let's do the freaking marathon. So we did the LA Marathon 4 years ago this week. And so for me, it's all about a plan. I have to have a plan. Hal Higdon's great for marathon and half marathon, as well as triathlon. Couch to 5K, I've done it 3 or 4 times since I did it originally. Fitness is going to be a part of my life, and I like the way it makes me feel. I like the way it makes me look. Here's the other thing. When you hit your goal weight, it's no longer exciting to stand on the scale.
Right.
So for me, fitness became that next great thing. Yeah. I had never ran further than 6 miles when I hit my goal weight. So I challenged myself and set goals with fitness. And I love at-home DVDs, P90X 1, 2, and 3, Hammer and Chisel. I just got 22-minute hardcore. Tony Horton's freaking rocks. So you can do it at home if you need it. You know, that's just it's who I am. A day without fitness to me is like usually not as I don't have as much energy. It's so much more than just trying to lose weight. It's endorphins, mental clarity, everything.
Yeah, the fitness part of this journey for me has been as important as the surgery.
Yeah, running changed my life as much. I agree. That Couch to 5K program, I'll never forget that girl's YouTube video. If it wasn't for her, I may have never tried the Couch to 5K. And it's certainly, running has changed my life as much as weight loss surgery.
Yeah. So now, is weight loss surgery your business now? Do you want to talk a little bit about?
Sure. Yeah. I used to get, asked, if I would have got paid a nickel for every comment or question I got from giving to the community, I would probably live on a yacht by now. And so it was something I was so passionate about, and I wanted to be able to continue helping people. So I started a business, WLS Success Matters. I got licensed and certified to be a bariatric coach. I'm a real bariatric coach, not one that makes her.
Where do you get licensed? Where do you get licensed to do that?
Yeah, Bariatric Support Centers International, Colleen Cook, BSCI. You can check them out on the internet there. And you pay a licensing fee, you take a bunch of educational courses. They have Bariatric University for the coaching, and spent about 6 months of my life and thousands of dollars with the whole thing combined to be a licensee and have this business. And started that 4 years ago, and my corporate America job ended. They were doing things differently, and I wasn't interested, and I already had my bariatric business for about a year. So just kind of perfectly timed to just go with it 100%, full force. So I educate and coach people around the globe. I've got people in South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, Mexico, UK, United States, Hawaii. And I live in it. So I am helping people work on the mental piece as well as the lifestyle changes every single day, 24/7. And it's certainly, I never had passion for a job. My last job, I worked there 9 years. I was good at it, I have a master's degree in business, concentration in marketing, minor in psychology. I worked at Mattel, Shell Oil, great jobs. But I was just a widget in the game.
Yeah.
And so what I do now is that I get to be passionate about a career which I didn't know it could be so good.
Right.
So that's WLS Success Matters. I appreciate you mentioning. And
how can people find out more information about that?
WLSSuccessMatters.com. That's our website. And we're on Facebook, WLS Success Matters, and YouTube, WLS Success Matters, and Twitter, WLS Success Matters.
She's consistent in her branding. Yeah. And I felt that when you first started talking about this, I heard a little defensiveness about maybe like making money from this.
Well, it's certainly.
I understand that people say that, but I'm just going to say, if you could, honestly, this is what I'm passionate about too. If there was a way I could incorporate it into my career so that I could do it 24/7, I absolutely would, and there's nothing wrong. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that because you want people who are passionate being the ones who are helping you through this process. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, we should talk more often because only because that's a good coaching conversation with me. Let me just put that there.
Yeah.
I can tell you, for me personally, making the decision to be Banded Wendy the patient to Banded Wendy the bariatric patient professional was a very challenging decision to make because I still wanted my support network, yet I knew that you only have so much time in a day. And let me tell you, after 4 years of giving it away all the time, it just was like dots connected. So I felt like I was jumping off a cliff without a parachute.
Yeah, for sure.
And that I could fail, which I think in every entrepreneurship you feel that way. But it has turned out to be a great thing. And I've gotten a lot of support, so thank you. You're right. I've gotten a lot of support from the community, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so because we're almost out of time, I'm going to do 2 more questions, and then Scott, you can do the inside the WLS studio questions. Since as usual, I've talked the whole time.
Sure.
two important questions. What was your most powerful NSV?
So many, but I'm going to say jumping out of an airplane at the 2012 meet and greet in Las Vegas. Skydiving.
Did everybody do it together, holding hands, or that?
No, we didn't hold hands, but there was a shit ton of weight loss surgery patients jumping from the plane.
How cool is that? Okay, guys, next meet and greet. I think we have a new activity.
There you go. There you go.
How much do you have to weigh to do that?
I think Gary the bypass man, he would be able to tell you, but I'm pretty sure you could be as much as 250.
Oh, wow. I don't know. That's giving me stomach butterflies just thinking about it. But
my girlfriend, my running partner, and we've ran, a lot of miles together. And she looked at me. I had to go outside and run up and down the place beforehand, out front of the place. She said to me, "Wendy, I've never seen you sweat when you're not exercising. Are you okay?" I'm like, I don't know.
Okay, and then how about 1 tip for newbies, 1 tip for people in maintenance?
Number 1 tip for newbies, your surgeon gives you a list of rules to follow. I'm telling you, I'm the girl that's known for the rules, the rules, the rules. They matter. Follow them. If you have a question, ask your surgeon. Don't ask your fellow community members. Your surgeon knows what's best. For those far out, you probably have a grand life, and you know what to do, and keep living that grand life and do everything that it takes for it. If you're struggling, you know what to do. And so get right back to those rules and check in with your surgeon if you're struggling. No matter what surgery you've had. You make that appointment to check in with your surgeon, everything changes. Everything will change.
And I need to reschedule that 2-year post-op appointment I had to cancel.
Do it. Let me know when you get it done. It's important.
No, I'm going to be doing that tomorrow.
Okay,
so.
good.
Well, great show, Wendy. Thank you so much. And then Scott's going to go into something we do that's kind of fun at the end of every show.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So at the end of every show, we come up with a few questions that we ask everyone. And so here we go. What's your favorite word?
Fuck.
What's your least favorite word?
Hate.
All right. What turns you on creative, spiritually, or emotionally?
Music.
All right. What turns you off?
Judgment.
What's your favorite curse word?
Fuck.
Yeah. So, what sound or noise do you love?
My husband waking up in the morning. He sounds like I say, "You're my grizzly bear."
What sound or noise do you hate?
People gossiping about other people when they don't know the facts.
Yeah. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
I think I'd be a pretty good nutritionist, bariatrician.
What would you not like to do?
I would not like to be a firefighter.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Can't stand the heat.
I understand. That's right. All right. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Your mom's waiting for you over there.
Aw, that just gave me chills. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Wendy, for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
It's been a great, great show. And I think people maybe got a chance to know a little bit of a different side of you today.
Yeah.
Which I think is important. I've gotten a few texts to that effect since we've been on about how much people really love you. Yeah. So thanks, everybody, for joining us. Tune in next Sunday. It's going to be Jennifer Bleacher and I, and we're going to Australia with VS Jenny, who will be our guest, who is somebody I actually knew before she got involved in the weight loss surgery community. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then the following week, we need to remind him, but Scott and I will be back with Fat Kings Phil for the show 2 weeks from today. So everybody have a great week, and we'll see you next Sunday. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.